out.
Time now for a look at our first weather forecast. Let's bring weather specialist Nora Fott. Hey, Nor.
Hey, thanks very much, Nathaniel. Well, that lake effect machine has been going strong since Wednesday, and what that's meant is that some communities in Ontario have been buried under centimeters and centimeters of snow. Others, like the GTHA, have been seeing on and off snow activity through the course of yesterday evening into today morning, where some woke up with snow on the ground. You can blame the strong winds from the west, at times the northwest. That's colder air moving over warmer lake waters, and what that's created is a recipe for messy weather. If you're in the green weather advisory areas, 5 to 15 additional centimeters of snow could be seen heading into your day tomorrow. If you're in blue, well, anywhere between 15 to 40 centimeters of snow. Add to that, of course, reduced visibility under blowing snow conditions, so hazardous driving conditions, and just a messy time on the roads. You can see heading into the evening that system going strong into the Cottage Country region, south of Kingston as well. And as we head into your day tomorrow, potentially seeing some sunny breaks now into Cottage Country as this moves out of that region into areas like Waterloo. Periods of snow potentially early in the morning in Toronto, but as we head into the afternoon and evening, we're going to start to see some breaks from that activity and shifting winds heading into your week come next week. In terms of temperatures, we felt all the difference, but don't be fooled by what the thermometer is telling you. -3 will feel closer to -12 with the wind chill, and that's certainly excessive in areas like Timmins, where exposed skin could freeze in the matter of minutes at -26 degrees. Tomorrow, we're expecting those strong winds to continue, especially in the morning. Your high -2, but when you factor in the wind chill, which is really important, feeling closer to -7. Nate?
Thank you, Nor. In Oakville, Ontario, a woman is... It's time for a look at weather with our weather specialist, Nora Fott. Nor, it's pretty cold across the country. Will it warm up anytime soon?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nate, and definitely one that will be on many people's minds. If you were the kind of person that was wishing for a return to winter after mild conditions earlier last year, this is your fault. But you're gonna get tired of the words Arctic air in the coming days as the polar vortex takes over Canada. Will we see some relief? Let's find out.
But it's my fault.
Well, certainly a lot of communities will have it a bit worse than Toronto tomorrow, because we're going to see a seasonal high of -2 degrees, but don't be fooled by what you're seeing on the thermometer, because when you factor in the wind chill, and those winds will be quite strong tomorrow morning, it'll feel closer to -7. Add to that periods of snow into the late morning, if not the early afternoon. This is what I mean when I say polar vortex. Picture an area of cold air, tens of thousands of feet up in the air. That area is usually around the North Pole, but when it starts to expand, well, it starts to slide down south in areas where it normally isn't. And you can see very clearly in purple, pink, white, and gray, it is gripping large parts of Canada. Tomorrow, a bit of relief as it starts to slide out of western portions of the prairies very slowly, areas like Calgary, but you can see it's sliding down further south, Oklahoma, Kansas, into Iowa, and even into parts of northern New Brunswick. And eventually, forecasters say some of this Arctic air could reach parts of Florida by next week. Now, we've seen that Arctic air and strong winds from the north-northwest bring a whole range of conditions, including non-stop snow squalls, and that has buried some communities around Lake Simcoe. Beaverton, unofficial reports around the 64-centimeter mark. Barrie, 56 centimeters, also around Lake Simcoe. Kitchener, 15 centimeters, and Omemee at around 21. Those also unofficial reports in Omemee. The good news is we're going to start to see things die down just a bit, but you can see tomorrow that lake effect machine still going strong towards Wyerton, Barrie, into Muskoka as well. We could see some sunny breaks, Bancroft, Tweed, approaching the Peterborough region and Kingston as well. And by the evening hours, some of those clouds start to break up around the GTHA. Your Monday looking good for much of eastern Canada. But take a look at this. We're now at the mercy of shifting winds. They're now blowing from the northeast, at times the east, and that will mean periods of snow squalls towards the southern shores of Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and towards Michigan State as well. Tuesday, some snow in the forecast, but from the east in areas like Kingston and into Ottawa. Totals, well, it's too early to say what we're expecting to see later on in the week, but for now, by tomorrow and into Monday, 18 centimeters potentially into Barrie, 2 centimeters in the Kingston region, also 2 as you approach southwestern Ontario. Temperatures will take a tumble trouble for many tomorrow. -11 in Ottawa, Timmins at -13, feeling closer to -25 with the wind chill. And it is below average in Hamilton, Brantford, Stratford, Ontario, -6. A frigid start to your morning by next week, -7, feeling closer to -18. And take a look, even though we see some relief by Tuesday, that Arctic air back with us into Wednesday, and do expect it to make a return once again into the third week of January. I'm a little suspicious about Friday and Saturday. I think we could see periods of snow, but for now, let's have an optimistic view, maybe seeing some sunshine for your Friday.
Time now for a look at our first weather forecast. Let's bring weather specialist Nora Fott. Hey, Nora.
Hey, thanks very much, Nathaniel. Well, nothing like a gorgeous, heartwarming shot of the Toronto Harbour Cam to end what was a cold day in parts of the GTHA. -5 for that temperature outside the Toronto airport, on and off flurries for the last little while. Temperatures were actually seasonal in the Toronto region, -2 degrees for that high, but did it feel like -2 though? No, it did not. Try -10, -11 when you factor in the wind chill. And those winds were quite strong, gusting upwards or near the 70-kilometer-per-hour range in Toronto, Niagara Falls, from the west, at times the northwest. That's a not friendly direction. We're seeing a lot of Arctic air moving into the province even at this hour. And that cold air, as it moves over the warm lake waters, well, you've got a recipe for some messy weather. The lake effect snow starts to kick back up, and with that, snow squalls that have been going strong since Wednesday for large parts of southern and central Ontario these past few days. We're seeing a recipe for more messy weather heading into your day tomorrow. If you're in green, these weather advisories, areas like Cobourg, Kitchener, I'm looking at you, potentially seeing an additional 5 to 15 centimeters of snow for your day tomorrow. If you're in blue, well, anywhere between 15 to 40 centimeters. And after that, hazardous driving conditions, messy weather into that blowing snow, and reduced visibility thanks to that blowing snow. You can see it's going strong overnight tonight in Cottage Country. Then it moves out of that region tomorrow and into areas like Waterloo, Wyerton, London, Ontario. Could see some flakes fly around the Toronto region, but we'll see improved conditions as early as Monday thanks to some shifting winds. Temperature-wise, though, well, windy tonight at -5, so it will feel colder, closer to -10 with the wind chill. And with your high tomorrow, -2 degrees, those winds still going strong in the morning, feeling closer to -7. Nate?
Thank you, Nora. Too violent. So it seems like Canadians have been switching back and forth between their heavy winter coats and their sort of lighter fall coats. What is going on, and will it last?
Yeah, well, you could call it a roller coaster of temperatures at that, Nathaniel. It will be a bit of a lull right around now, because you can expect the Arctic air around the country to linger for a little while, and that's thanks to two problematic words, polar and vortex. Find out how it's affecting your region. Well, temperatures are actually going to be seasonal in Toronto tomorrow. Your high -2 degrees, but that doesn't mean that the Arctic air is done with us just yet. We could expect to see more of these temperatures sliding down in the coming days as we get blasts of that cold air on and off through next week. Take a look at where the polar jet is situated. It's pushing through parts of New England and around Atlantic Canada. That's where we're seeing that cold air, and this is what we mean when we say the polar vortex has expanded. That polar vortex usually around the North Poles. It's an area of cold air, and that's where it should be. But when it starts to expand, that means that the cold air starts to slide down south in areas where it's not usually there. And that means frigid temperatures. The prairies into Ontario, you can see it clearly in pink, also into Quebec and the Maritimes. Tomorrow, a bit of relief for parts of the western prairies, but you can see it digging deeper now into Nebraska, Oklahoma, Iowa, and eventually into northern New Brunswick. And some forecasters say this could reach down south as early as next week into areas like Florida. Words are hard at this time of night. The snow squalls, well, they've been a big problem, and that has meant areas around Lake Simcoe buried under some snow. Barrie 56 centimeters and still counting. Kitchener 15, Omemee, Ontario 21. So here we are tomorrow. Those snow squalls going strong into Cottage Country, moving out by the afternoon. Some sunny breaks potentially. And as we head into your Monday Monday, more of these sunny breaks in store for the GTHA as we see some shifting winds now from the northeast, which means some of that snow squall activity lingering around the shores, the southern shores of Lake Erie and areas to the west of Lake Huron. So things are looking good for the start of your work week. Also plenty of sunny breaks potentially into London, Ontario. Heading into your Tuesday, there is some snow in the east, but you can blame the Atlantic Ocean for this one. This time it's not the Great Lakes fault. 13 centimeters potentially, that's just an estimate. Additionally for Barrie, 1 centimeter in Kingston and 7 towards Georgian Bay. And pair with that some cold conditions tonight, -8 in Kingston, tomorrow -6 in that region. Into Timmins, into the minus double digits over there, -3 in Oshawa, Muskoka, a -9. And into your next 7 days, expect bursts of cold there Monday into Wednesday for Toronto, starting to feel closer to seasonal Friday and Saturday.
It was an original 6